What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is a little bit of a different video, I know, and of course I'm in the stream setup, and I bet you're asking why. Well, that's because I do want to have a series on this channel that's dedicated to tier lists. Of course, the stuff that I usually talk about, it hasn't went anywhere. I just wanted to do something different for today. This is going to be my ultra super duper tier list series, of course, where we talk and discuss different series and channels and all kinds of different topics. But as to kick off this playlist on my channel, I think the perfect series to make a tier list about, of course, is the Sonic series. Because who doesn't like a controversial Sonic game tier list? Now, with a tier list, obviously, there are going to be a few games that I may have never played before, and so we have a tier list right here. As you can see, we have S, A, B, C, D, F, and haven't played. Of course, titles that I've never played before are going to go into the haven't played tier, which surprisingly isn't very many of them. I have played most of the Sonic series, and I have some controversial takes on some certain games, to be honest. This series as a whole, I think most people can say, is pretty controversial. There's a lot of games that go into certain areas that a lot of people don't agree with, and everybody has their own takes, spicy or not. But anyways, besides all that stuff, let's get into the first one, and that's Sonic the Hedgehog 1. How do I feel about Sonic the Hedgehog 1? Well, Sonic 1 to me is just a good game in general. It was the game that brought Sonic to the limelight, and I'm going to be doing this in a bit of like a live format almost, if you don't mind, so I have a drink next to me. But I feel that Sonic as a series has notoriously been at different varying qualities for most of its lifetime, obviously. I'm willing to admit that even as a fan. However, I think the first game, without a doubt, is a B tier. Yeah, I know it's a bit washy for me. Oh, you put Sonic 1 in B tier. Look, Sonic 1 isn't a terrible game. I mean, Green Hill Zone's pretty peak. The first iteration, not the 20th iteration. Green Hill Zone as a whole is pretty peak, and Marble Zone's kind of trash. But once you get good at the game and you get adjusted to the controls, especially with there being no spin dash and you having to carry your momentum, like you really have to focus on like how you carry your momentum throughout the levels. It is easily one of the hardest Sonic games just for that reason alone, without it having the spin dash. If you played the non-spin dash version, yeah, the spin dash does enhance the experience, but I can't deny that playing the game without the spin dash is actually kind of fun too, because then you have to roll into enemies rather than spin dashing. So there are some merits to a non-spin dashless original Sonic 1 playthrough. The only thing that's bad about the original Sonic that most people know about is the speed cap. The speed cap is pretty trash, I ain't gonna lie. Sonic's maximum speed being capped out sucks. It sometimes it really doesn't do exactly what you want it to do sometimes. But unlike most fans, I don't outright hate the classics, nor do I outright like dick ride the classics. I'm pretty much in the middle. I will meet the game at its I will meet the game where it's at, and see how it plays. Now the Game Gear games, I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? I have played these a little bit. I've played some of the ports on Sonic Origins. Never really completed any of them. Though I will say Sonic 2 on Game Gear is pretty good. But because I haven't finished the game, I'm not willing to admit, what place it goes. So I'm going to keep those and haven't played. So Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is a interesting story. Sonic 2, this may shock you. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Let me tell you why. I think Sonic 2 is the perfect length classic Sonic game. I truly do believe that the length of Sonic 2 is perfect. There's nothing about Sonic 2 that I think is wrong. It gets so many things so right. 2 acts per zone. You got Super Sonic. You know what I mean? You got the spin dash, okay? You got consistent level design. It's not Marble Zone, you know what I mean? And it's not as long and drawn out as Sonic 3 and Knuckles. People love to dick ride Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I get it, okay? We all get it. But Sonic 3 and Knuckles is a long fucking game, okay? It's a long game. And if you want to complete the game, then you got the Super Emeralds and you got the regular Emeralds. You got Hypersonic and Supersonic. You got 2 whole games on top of that. So I can see why people like Sonic 3 and Knuckles more than Sonic 2, but I'm more of a Sonic 2 stan more than anything. I actually like Sonic 2 more simply because Sonic 2 is more consistent. That's the only reason why. And plus, I'm gonna be honest, I hate the pyramid level in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I can't think of the level. Sandopolis. I cannot stand Sandopolis. I don't like Sandopolis. I know that's a weird take, but I don't. I don't like Sonic. I don't like Sandopolis at all. That level pisses me off. So for Sonic 2, in my opinion, I think Sonic 2 is the perfect length classic Sonic game. I might step on a couple people's toes, but I don't care. I like Sonic 2. Sonic 2 has always been my favorite classic Sonic game. It was the one that I beat first, actually. It was the first classic Sonic game I ever beat, so I am a little bit biased towards that. The final boss is bullshit. I will say that. The Death Egg Robot is bullshit. Mecha Sonic's a wash, but Death Egg Robot is pretty frustrating. But overall, Sonic 2, not a bad game. Sonic CD. I think Sonic CD was an improvement upon Sonic 1. I think Sonic CD was a improvement. Definitely. It did what Sonic 1 did, but better. I don't think there's anything about Sonic 1 that was better than Sonic CD. I think Sonic CD overall is just like Sonic 1 2.0. It's literally just a better version. It's like the updated version of Sonic 1. Yeah, you have the spin dash and you got the super peel out, and you know the time travel mechanics can get a little wonky, but the sheer replayability of Sonic CD, I think, has merits of its own. I think a lot of people tend to forget how fun Sonic CD can be depending on, you know, what pathway that you take in the middle of the levels. That was also very innovative too. A lot of people don't give Sonic credit where credit is due. The innovation that Sonic CD had and Sonic the Hedgehog as a series alone, I don't think it gets the merits that it deserves, honestly. I think Sonic the Hedgehog as a series has done a lot of things for the industry that it don't get credit for, and I think the time travel mechanics of Sonic CD were a perfect example of that, of something that was way ahead of its time and people didn't understand it, but as time has gone by, a lot of people enjoy it. Also, the cutscenes are pretty and the Japanese soundtrack is better than the English soundtrack, so yeah, had to say that in case you had to check my Sonic fan card, my fan card, just know, yeah, I like the Japanese soundtrack much better than the English soundtrack. I've never played Triple Trouble, so we'll go ahead and skip that. I don't ever play any of the Game Gear games, hardly. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, we're going to put these two together. A tier. I do think they're A tier. I think they are the second. I think Sonic 3 and Knuckles as a whole is the second best classic Sonic game of all time, easily. Like I said, I talked about it earlier, but the sheer content that there is in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, it is a big platformer. It is a massively sized platformer with lots to do, and that is an understatement. There's so much to do in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and the story is so fucking great. It actually had genuine cutscenes, like they were actually trying to tell a legit story, and I give Sonic 3 and Knuckles credit for that. And it also was the introduction of Knuckles as a character. You know, you have stages like Mushroom Hill. Mushroom Hill's pretty cool. I like Flying Battery. Flying Battery's pretty fun. I don't remember Sonic 3's stages from Sonic and Knuckles. The whole game just kind of mixes in for me. So if I switch in and out of stages that didn't belong in one game into the other, that's mainly probably due to the fact that I've always played them together and never played them separately. So the levels tend to mix in. But Sonic 3 and Knuckles is, as a package, big ass game, and it's definitely worth the playthrough. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is easily the second best classic Sonic game of all time. It's great. Some people, it's the GOAT, but I think it's good, and that's about as far as it goes. I see Sonic 3 and Knuckles down here, but you know, whatever. Anyways, so what was that one then? I think it was Chaos. Okay, never played that one. Never played Chaotix. I have played Sonic Blast, surprisingly. Never played those. Okay, so anyways, I haven't played a lot of them. Are these considered mainline? You see, this is a weird tangent, but I looked up a mainline Sonic tier list, and it gives me all these Game Gear games, and I'm thinking, really? Are they really mainline? I don't know if they are or not. And I've only touched them. I haven't finished them, and I'm only considering games on this tier list that I have finished from front to back. And I don't know about that. So, anyways, though, Sonic Adventure. How do I feel about Sonic Adventure? See, I think this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. Okay, my opinions are, this is where it gets really, really tough. I mean, the classic fans, they've kind of chilled out over the years. They're not as ruthless as they used to be. But Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, this is a controversial subject. So here goes nothing. So I think, personally, Sonic Adventure 1 was way ahead of its time than Sonic Adventure 2. I truly do believe that. I think Sonic Adventure 2 has aged like shit compared to Sonic Adventure 1, because a lot of the issues that you can excuse in Sonic Adventure 1 You cannot excuse Sonic Adventure 2 for it. You just can't. Sonic Adventure 1 did a lot for gaming when it came out. You know, with it being a launch title for the Dreamcast, with it being the first legit, you know, attempt at doing a cinematic story for Sonic the Hedgehog, you know. Yeah, this is another weird tangent of mine, but I find it funny that there's a lot of people who talk about the boss fights in Sonic Frontiers as if it was something new, as if Sonic was doing something crazy. Like, I always heard people describe the boss fights in Sonic Frontiers as Dragon Ball Z like, and I always found that funny to me because, yes, Sonic as a series has taken a lot of inspiration from Dragon Ball Z. It is wacky to me that a lot of people who aren't fans of this series don't realize that Sonic has been doing this shit for a long time. Sonic has been doing this for over 30 years, bro. Like, Super Sonic beating some, you know, unholy beast to rock music, you know, and having these world at stake, like these worldwide stakes. Like, it is insane to me how much credit that Dragon Ball Z gets rather than Sonic Adventure when Sonic has been doing this for a long time. You know, you think about game series like, again, this is a part of the whole thing. You think about series like DMC, you think of like Bayonetta, you think of like God of War with these over the top boss fights, and I cannot think of a single series that came before Sonic Adventure 1 that did what Sonic Adventure 1 did at its scope. Don't get me wrong, Sonic Adventure 1 isn't perfect, obviously. You know, Big sucks. Big does suck. But Sonic Adventure 1 to me did a whole lot more heavy lifting to bring the series to the next generation, to modernize the series. And it has a lot of features about it that I like more than Sonic Adventure 2. Like the hub worlds. I like the themes of the characters more in the Adventure 1. Arguably, his controls are better. The level design is better. You see how people don't say we should play like Sonic Adventure 2 anymore. They always say we should play like Sonic Adventure 1. That's because most people argue that Sonic Adventure 1 has the best level design of any 3D Sonic game, and I can agree with those folks before I can agree with Sonic Adventure 2 stands. And yeah, the multiple campaigns get boring, but the sheer immersiveness, there you go, that's the word, the sheer immersion, I think, of Sonic Adventure 1 is enough for me to state that I think Sonic Adventure 1 is an S tier. I think Sonic Adventure 1 is the GOAT. I think Sonic Adventure 1 is much better than Sonic Adventure 2. I was frustrated the entire time I was playing Sonic Adventure 2. I even played Sonic Adventure 2 first before I played Sonic Adventure 1 because I heard it was so good and I like Shadow as a character. I heard Sonic Adventure 2 was so good, but when I played Sonic Adventure 1, I was baffled on how well designed it was and how well it played and how buttery smooth it was. Like, Sonic feels like shit in Adventure 2 compared to Adventure 1. He feels much better, in my opinion. So, because of that, I think Sonic Adventure 1 is an S-tier game. And Sonic Adventure 2. This is going to get me a lot of hate. I don't care. I don't like Sonic Adventure 2. I don't. I'm sorry. Okay, look. You can crucify me all you want. I don't care. I do not like Sonic Adventure 2. I just don't. I have tried over and over again with this game. I'll talk about what I like. I'll talk about the positives first. The soundtrack is great. Okay. You know, the Japanese story is pretty good. I don't like the English one. I like the Japanese story. The game, if you play the game in Japanese, it's much less cringy and much less corny. So if the Japanese story is good, I like Shadow as a character. The music is cool. You know, the levels themselves, the aesthetics are cool. But I think that's about as far as it gets. I like the grittiness. I like how serious it is. It's very serious, and I can enjoy that. You know, the CGI cutscenes are pretty cool. But I don't like playing as Rouge or Knuckles in this game. I think because they nerfed the Emerald Radar compared to the first adventure, it ruined the entire gameplay style for me. Though Rouge's levels weren't as terribly designed as Knuckles, I will give Rouge credit. I had more fun with Rouge's levels than I did with Knuckles' levels. And I think that's because Knuckles was an afterthought, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard many different things, but from what my knowledge is, Rouge was the original version and Knuckles was an add-on later, and that's because that's why his levels are poorly designed and Rouge's are so good. And that goes for the second gameplay style in the game, Eggman and Tails. I fucking hate Tails in this game too. Why is he in a mech? Why is he in a mech? I don't understand why Tails is in a mech. It don't make no sense to me. His gameplay was just fine in Sonic Adventure. Okay, it was just fine. It worked just fine. And then they screwed the pooch on it. Put him in a dumbass mech. So that pissed me off. Eggman's levels were much more designed. I like the ability to play as Eggman. His levels are much more better designed than Tails's, but it's still slow, and I don't really care. And I find Sonic Adventure fans almost hypocrites because they complain about games like Colors, they complain about games like Generations, they complain about games like Unleashed, where you have these gimmicks that nobody wants to fucking play, yet you dick ride Sonic Adventure 2 when like 75% of the game is also gimmicks and not true Sonic gameplay. So like there's so many things wrong with Sonic Adventure 2, and I think a lot of people are blinded by nostalgia. Does it do some things right? Of course. It gives us Live and Learn, it gives us Shadow, it gave us City Escape, you know what I mean? There's a lot of great things that Sonic Adventure 2 did. Dude, it even gave us a fucking Skyrail. I like Skyrail. I think Skyrail is pretty fun. I do. I think Skyrail is better than Radical Highway. Shit, like, cause it fight me on it. I don't care. You know, I like some of the levels in Sonic Adventure 2. The arc is fun, you know, but for me, I would still rather play Sonic Adventure. At least you can pick up and play Sonic Adventure, and like you can play one of the campaigns in an afternoon and then come back and play another campaign. You know what I mean? It's just, and then the immersion with the hub worlds. Like I much prefer immersive Sonic games, which is why, you know, certain things are gonna look kind of wacky later on when we get into the later parts of the series. But I like Sonic games that are open and free and allow for immersion. And when they do it right, I'm obsessed. Also, I don't want to be that guy. No, fuck it. I am going to be that guy. I'm whipping my fat cock out and laying it on the ground right now. I think that the Sonic Adventure 1 version of It Doesn't Matter is better than the Sonic Adventure 2 version. I think the Sonic Adventure 2 version of It Doesn't Matter is corny. I think it's so fucking corny. It sounds like a toy commercial. It sounds like a Saturday morning opening. I don't care if you think it fits the character. I don't give a shit. The Sonic Adventure 1 version of Sonic the Hedgehog's theme, It Doesn't Matter, it's so much better. It's so much better. I don't care. I stand on that opinion. I'm very passionate when it comes to the music in this franchise. There were moments where I gave up completely and the only thing I cared about was the music. So, oh, great. Goody. The one that everybody loves to hate, including me, Sonic Heroes. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't like Sonic Heroes either. Sonic Heroes is a slippery bullshit game. Sonic Heroes is very slippery. I've never liked the concept of playing 3 characters at once. It's always just been too much for me, and I could care less. And I don't mind playing other characters in Sonic games. I really don't. I don't mind playing other characters in Sonic games. But when you combine them all together, the controls get cluttered, and all the combat sections aren't as fun as other games, which I'm putting the name right next to. You can see what's down there, okay? The story is okay. It's your basic Saturday morning cartoon, you know, aesthetic. I definitely prefer the more serious Sonic games, especially when it comes to the modern side of the I mean, if you want to do the Saturday morning stuff, that's fine, you know. If you want to do something that's a bit more widely appealing, especially towards kids, I don't mind them doing that with classic Sonic. You know, I would much prefer that. If you want to keep, you know, modern Sonic being the more shonen anime style, you know, that's the way I would have approached it. But the story, in my opinion, doesn't hold a candle to Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Adventure 1. It just doesn't. It's very simplistic. Though Metal Sonic, bringing him back as a villain was nice. Neo Metal Sonic is a cool concept for a character. Really, really cool. The final boss is jank as shit. Most of the bosses are jank as shit. The whole game is jank as shit. You know, though it was the first multi-platform Sonic game, original Sonic game, not a remaster. So it did do some things for the series. I like the aesthetics. The aesthetics are cool. I won't lie. The aesthetics are pretty cool. You know, I like Frog Forest. Frog Forest is pretty neat. I like Ocean Palace. Ocean Palace is, you know, pretty fire. Didn't care for Rail Canyon. I think yeah. Never cared for Rail Canyon. Final Fortress is really fucking cool for a final level. I love Final Fortress. Final Fortress is lit. I do. I fuck with Final Fortress a lot. But overall, just because of the sheer slipperiness, this game is just beyond frustrating for me to play, and I tend to just stop after Seaside Hill, really. I don't really care. It's not really for me. Though, so Shadow the Hedgehog is an interesting game because I had never played it up until 2024, I think. Right after Shadow Generations came out, or before Shadow Generations came out, and before the 3rd movie came out. I finally sat down and played Shadow the Hedgehog fully. I did all the campaigns, and here are my thoughts. I think Shadow the Hedgehog is slightly better than Sonic Heroes and right behind Sonic Adventure 2 for the sheer fact that the gun gameplay is actually not that bad. If you ignore all the dumb shit and you look at the game for what it is, it's less slipperier than Sonic Heroes. It's more focused than Sonic Heroes. The gunplay is much more, at least in my opinion, now I am biased towards shooting games, but in my opinion, Sonic Shadow the Hedgehog's gun gameplay is functional and it works and it can be fun if you choose the right weapons. And the ability to have the obstacle of having to pick up newer weapons as you progress through the level, I think is fun. Now the downsides of this game is that it is super repetitive. Oh my god, it's so fucking repetitive. And I get the point behind Sonic games. They are intentionally repetitive. They're meant to be played over and over and over and over again, but it gets to a point where you just want to finish the game and get all the endings so you can see Super Shadow. The story is cool. I like the story. I like the edginess of Shadow the Hedgehog. I find it very appealing. I feel like Shadow the Hedgehog as a spin-off series could have been a thing. I think there's much untapped potential with the whole Shadow the Hedgehog branding in general. I think they could have did a lot with Shadow the Hedgehog and let him be the more adult side of Sonic, the Daredevil or the Punisher or the Batman. You know, we say Batman nowadays. It's kind of funny because they crossed over. But I think Shadow the Hedgehog has a lot of potential, not only as a character, but as a brand that's a part of Sonic the Hedgehog as a whole that could do a lot of carrying for the more adult, you know, older teenage audiences. And it is a shame that they haven't really gave us a true sequel. I mean, you could argue that Shadow Generations is kind of a sequel, but it was close in tone, but it wasn't quite where it should be. I still, you know, we need a little bit of dams and hells every now and then. You know, I don't mind that stuff. You know, everybody thought it was stupid for the time, but I think Shadow the Hedgehog's tone can be fixed up and made more serious and actually get people to take it seriously. You know, we are living in a generation where people do find Sonic and can take it seriously. This is the perfect opportunity for us to get a Shadow the Hedgehog 2, in my opinion. And overall, I like Shadow the Hedgehog. I actually do. I like Shadow the Hedgehog more than Sonic Heroes. I would say more than Sonic Adventure 2, but Sonic Adventure 2 is just, it's nostalgia and its legacy. I can't put Shadow the Hedgehog over Sonic Adventure 2. But Shadow the Hedgehog fucked up a lot of things that Sonic Adventure 2 set up story-wise. So I can't completely absolve it of all its issues because it did piss all over a lot of the legacy that Sonic Adventure 2, and it kind of tarnished Sonic's name before the next game. So yeah, it was pretty bad. Sonic 06, also D tier. I wouldn't say Sonic 06 is irredeemable. I wouldn't. I can't say that Sonic 06 is an irredeemable game. It's not. I have played P06. It is a great game. I love it. You know, it is truly the adventure style at its maximum, like its peak, like what it could truly be. But I'm not gonna excuse untapped potential for what we got. I cannot do that. I cannot lie to myself and say, well, this game could have been this and it could have been that. No, I have to judge the game for what it is. And for what Sonic 06 is, it is a barely passable, barely functioning game. It is playable. Barely. That's it. That's it. There's a lot of things that it did that I like, but I could never recommend this game to a normal gamer. I couldn't recommend this game to an average person. You're crazy. This game is buggy out the ass. It looks like shit. You know what I mean? The gameplay, yeah, the levels are good, but where's the momentum at? You know, the momentum's gone. Silver can barely sprint. Shadow, shit, his vehicles are buggy as shit. They don't ever want to work. You know, there's many issues with Sonic 06 just from a bug standpoint. And even if you were to squash all those and you would keep the level design, the actual movement of the characters isn't as good as Sonic Adventure 1 or 2. Or even Heroes even. And I fucking think Heroes is slippery as shit. 06 is the opposite. 06 is stiff as fuck. I mean, one tap of the stick after you're running and then you immediately go to the right. You know, you get to those Mach speed sections, you hit anything, you're flying off the edge, you know. You guys, you're not hearing nothing new already. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm just parroting the same shit that people have been saying for years, but there's a reason why people may have been saying it for many years. That's because Sonic 06 is trash. It just is. I see a lot of people on Twitter every day who talk about the untapped potential of 06 and how great it could have been. Well, guess what? It wasn't great. It wasn't. It almost killed the series, for Christ's sakes, okay? The game is for what it is. from a person who has judged it. And I have close ties with Sonic 06. I like Silver. Silver is my favorite Sonic character of all time, right up there with the protagonist himself. I like Silver a lot. I like the soundtrack of 06 a lot. I like the tone of 06. I like how serious it wants me to take it. I do. The CGI cutscenes look amazing. But all that is fluff compared to the actual gameplay. When we're getting down to brass tacks and we're talking about the video game itself, it's not fun. It's just not fun. The levels are fun, but the actual gameplay, like when I'm moving Sonic, doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all. The spin dash barely has any momentum. It takes forever to charge. You can go barely faster than that stupid jog that Sonic goes. Even he feels slow compared to what he could be. You know, I don't know. The bounce is fun. I like the bounce combo. I will say that. I like the homing attack bounce combo. That's fun when you have enemies with health bars. It is. I like the bounce combo with Sonic. You know, there's some things. You know, I wish Shadow had his guns. It would probably make it more fun. Shadow would probably be a bit more fun if he had his guns rather than the stupid combat that's sluggish and he punches the air and it's hard to lock on. You know, I think the only combat in this game that was consistent was literally just Sonic's and Silver's. You know, they say Sonic is the best character in this game, and that is definitely not a lie. Sonic is the best character in this game. Sonic was the only character I ever had truly fun playing. So, even though his story was mid, it was just okay. So, yeah, I think Sonic 06 is just, it's okay. Now this is where it gets controversial, okay? Because now we're getting into the games that I have deep roots into, that I personally hold near and dear to my heart. But that doesn't mean I'm going to absolve them of their issues. Even though this is a personal tier list, I do try to stay as objective as possible. So Sonic and the Secret Rings. I like this game. I do. I like this game a lot. I really do. Even though I know for a fact it has issues. And so because of that, I'm going to put it in C tier. Okay. If this was like completely biased and like I'm not trying to be objective, it would be a little bit higher. Honest to God. I do. I am a sucker for Sonic and the Secret Rings. Mainly because of the tone. I like the aesthetic. The Arabian Nights is cool to me. I like the soundtrack. The soundtrack is a fucking bop. I don't care what people say. I don't care if it's repetitive. I don't give a shit. I like the soundtrack of Sonic and the Secret Rings. I am the biggest meat rider. Whoa, pause. I am the biggest meat rider for Secret Rings as a soundtrack. I love the aesthetic, the tone of this game. I do. I love it. It's so fucking cool. It's so cool, man. And in the 2D artwork and the cutscenes, like the actual story with like the whole relationship between Shara and Razor Jin, and it being like an innuendo for abusive relationships. Like, there's so many great things that Secret Rings did. It's unfortunate though. Like 06, the game is held back by its gameplay. The gameplay is super simple and super frustrating if a person doesn't know what they're doing or if they don't have the right upgrades. Sonic and the Secret Rings is held back mainly because of its gameplay. It really is. You can do a first playthrough of Secret Rings and it will be very, very fucking boring about halfway through until you finally unlock some upgrades. Now, once you get the upgrades and you actually get to control Sonic properly, it's really not that bad. Now, I am a dick rider for Boost Sonic games. You will notice that Boost Sonic games will tend to rank maybe a little bit higher than the adventure games. But I do think Sonic and the Secret Rings, as a first attempt at a boost, not officially, but it did do a lot of things right. Like I said, I am biased. So Secret Rings, though, it's held back by its gameplay. I can't lie. The game is on rails. The game is super simple. You just turn the Wii remote left and right, and then you jump, and then you shake it, and that's all you do. But again, the game's cool. You know, it has its set pieces. It has better acting, I would argue, over the adventure games. And also, I like Jason Griffith, so I can actually listen to the English dialogue. The other Japanese one's good too. So Sonic and the Secret Rings, though, I think it gets a lot of hate because of the gameplay alone, and I don't think it gets enough of credit for its aesthetics and everything else that it does. So again, it's personal, but that's what I think about Secret Rings. Sonic Unleashed, look, this is a personal of mine, okay? Yeah, so let me explain to you why Sonic Unleashed is at the top of this tier list, because I know Sonic Unleashed is well loved in the community, but there are a few sticklers who don't like the game, so let me explain myself. Sonic and the Secret Rings, particularly the PS2 version, was the first Sonic game I ever played. It was on my cousin's PS2. It was my Sonic game. It was the one that I fell in love with the first. Now, because of that, I was a PlayStation kid. So when I played Sonic Unleashed, the HD version, for the first time on the PS3, I was a action game guy as a kid. I liked God of War. I liked Devil May Cry on the PS2. So when I played the Werehog for the first time, it wasn't nothing out of the ordinary for me. Again, from my perspective, it wasn't out of the ordinary because I was a child and I didn't know no better. I got the best of both worlds as a kid. So I got to play a Sonic game that had the fastest gameplay I had ever seen before on top of God of War. So I was eating good as a kid, and even to this day, that's the sole reason why I like Sonic Unleashed. Is it objectively the best Sonic game of all time? No, I don't think so. So don't get it twisted. This is not an objective tier list. It is a semi-objective list with personal bias, and that's why Sonic Unleashed is at the top of the S tier. If I was being fair, if I was being objective, Sonic Unleashed would be more along the lines of like a B or A tier, honestly. Because Sonic Unleashed does have its problems with the whole bloat. It's very bloated. It's a very bloated game. You know, you have to sit there and hunt the medals over and over again. It takes forever to do those if you don't do it properly. You know, I think that the Werehog itself, the levels can go on for a very long time, and the Werehog feels like shit when the game first begins. If you don't have any of the upgrades, it suffers from the same thing that Secret Rings does. It doesn't have a lot of meat on its bones when you first start out. But if you play the game, you put in your time, you put in your reps, and you play the game, it gets extremely more fun when you have the Werehog maxed out, or even just have a combo meter. Like when you have the combo maxed out, all of a sudden the game just opens up. There's so many different combo opportunities in the game itself. So the Werehog aside though, I think modern Sonic's gameplay and Sonic Unleashed and the boost formula, I think is the golden standard for Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay, period. It has always been my favorite style of Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay. I have always enjoyed the boost gameplay. I think the boost gameplay, when it's difficult and well designed, I truly think is peak Sonic. I think the boost gameplay encompasses everything that Sonic is as a character, and it distinctly defines it beyond other platformers. Now, of course, I know the momentum factor of Sonic also distinguished it from other platformers, but I just, like I said, I am biased. I know I'm biased. I get the appeal of Sonic, of the adventure games, even the classic games. That's why I have Sonic Adventure at near the S tier, because I think Sonic Adventure is the best controlling 3D Sonic game. But I think when it comes to a game that just shows off Sonic as a character, to really, you know, show people what Sonic is like. If I had to show one of these games off, I would always, without a doubt, always show Unleashed off. Because Unleashed has the prettiest cutscenes, it has the easiest story to follow, it has the most immersive hub worlds, it has the most immersive story in general, with the whole hubs and all the different characters with all their names. And then like the gameplay itself, yeah, it's difficult, it's fucking hard. Like Sonic Unleashed is easily the hardest Sonic game of all time. It's not easy, but as a veteran of the series, I'm all for it. You know, especially the DLC missions. You know, I am all for that shit. I love difficult games, and because the sheer difficulty of Sonic Unleashed, the sheer immersion, the fucking soundtrack, the story, and I like the Werehog, yeah. It's easy for a person like me to say Sonic Unleashed is an S tier and their favorite Sonic game of all time, easily. There are some downsides, but the positives, in my opinion, outweigh the negatives. So, Black Knight. I think Sonic and the Black Knight is right behind Secret Rings, and the only reason why I say that is because I don't like the sword. The sword is very repetitive. It just goes. You just waggle. I mean, it's not that hard. You just waggle. You just keep waggling, and you'll do it. All the boss fights are piss easy. Though Sonic's character arc is one of the best in the series, I can acknowledge that. Sonic's story, the actual story itself, is really fucking good. But these are video games. And when it comes to the gameplay, I tend to get bored of Black Knight quicker than I get bored of Secret Rings. I just find Secret Rings inherently more replayable than Black Knight. I like the soundtrack of Secret Rings more than Black Knight. I like Shara more than I like Marlena. Though Secret Rings graphically looks just about the same, and it did improve upon Secret Rings' control issues with the thumbstick being the movement button rather than the tilting. But it doesn't really change anything in my mind. I like Black Knight. I've played it since I was a kid. I like the story. Again, I like the story. I like the music. I like everything. But the actual gameplay, again, you're seeing a pattern here. If you're not a Sonic fan, you see a pattern here where a lot of these games that are near the bottom, they're not bad aesthetically. There you go. They're not bad aesthetically. You know, the story, the music, you know, the just the rock and roll, just like, yeah, this is fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. You know what I mean? That aspect of the games, they're all great. But when it comes down to the gameplay, like what you actually do in the video game, that's when I just start losing appeal. So, yeah, I think Sonic and the Black Knight and Secret Rings they're right next to each other. I wouldn't put one drastically ahead of the other like that. I wouldn't do that. No, I think if you move one, you gotta move the other. Honestly, I really do believe that. Anyways, though, enough of the storybook games. We're out of the Dark Age, or the somewhat called Dark. I don't think it's the Dark Age. We still had a lot of great games that came out during this time. And if you guys like this video and you want me to do the spin-offs or even the racing games, I will. But again, we're sticking for mainline for right now because this video is going to be long anyways. So keep that in mind. So Sonic 4. I think that's fair, right? Don't you guys think? I think that's fair, right? I do think that's fair. I don't think anybody at all in this franchise who's a fan of it likes Sonic 4. So I think this is pretty easy. I don't really have much to say about Sonic 4. It is the most milquetoast, lukewarm, nothing burger of a Sonic game I think I've ever played in my life. It is just It's the game. It's just I don't really care. It's whatever, man. It's a downgrade from every other 2D classic Sonic game, or even every 2D like modern Sonic game if you're talking Rush and the advanced games. So it's just I don't even consider Sonic 4 to be mainline. The only reason why it is technically mainline is because it was called Sonic the Hedgehog 4. If this game wasn't called Sonic the Hedgehog 4, it probably wouldn't get so much hate, but it's just mid. And because it's so fucking boring, I don't give a shit. I don't even see the potential in Sonic 4. That's the worst part. I don't even see the potential in Sonic 4. I don't care for Sonic 4. So, yeah. Anyways, Sonic Colors. So this game gets a lot of hate nowadays, and rightfully deserved, though it's not a terrible game. And again, this is where bias and objectiveness kind of clash. It's just in the middle. It's just okay. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it does its job. Yeah. Even though, like I said, even though the story is worse than Sonic Adventure 2, even though you could argue the music is worse, which I think they're pretty comparable, and I like the aesthetic of Shadow of the Hedgehog and Sonic Adventure 2 more than I like Sonic Colors' aesthetic, but you can't deny the success that Sonic Colors had. Sonic Colors was a very successful game for a good fucking reason. Sonic Team actually did the one thing that people have been asking for a long time and listened. They took the Werehog out, and yeah, they stripped back the boost gameplay, but they did publish it on the Wii, so you have to keep that in mind. It wasn't made by the same team that was making Unleashed and Generations at the time. Colors was made by the same team that made Secret Rings and Black Knight. So when you take that into consideration, you can see why the game ended up like it did. And on top of that, you can also explain why the game has so many levels, but it feels so short. That's because the levels were chopped up. Putting all that aside, though, Sonic Colors as a game, not considering the story, and I like the music, and even the aesthetics are pretty cool. If you're talking game-wise, Sonic Colors is really not that bad of a game. It's not as good as Sonic 1 or CD or any of the classics. It's mostly a 2D boost game, but without the boost. So you're talking Sonic that at least has proper physics, but it doesn't have the spin dash, and there's no way to go faster in that game because you have to preserve the boost throughout the levels. But I think Sonic Colors as a product is much more higher quality than Shadow of the Hedgehog and Secret Rings and Black Knight. I am biased against Sonic Adventure 2, so just keep that in mind. Like, I get it. I get a lot of people like Sonic Adventure 2, and if you guys in the comments, if y'all want to say switch them out, I can. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to meet you. And matter of fact, I will. I'll do it right now. Here, look, we'll do this. How about that? Okay. There. Okay. Because I know some people are in the comments are going to be like, hey, whoa there, Okay, fine. But I don't think Sonic Colors is really that bad of a video game. I really don't think it's that bad. I think it's just okay. It's good. It's a good game. I could totally recommend it to anybody. Does it represent the Sonic series as a whole very well? No, it doesn't. I don't like the kiddie the kiddiness. I don't really like the childishness of colors. I think it's a little too lighthearted for me personally. And again, the story is so fucked. It's so butchered. But I can ignore a bad story if the game is good. It's hard for me to care about a good story when the game is bad, or I don't care about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Generations. S tier. Come on. Easy. I think again, I say I a lot because this is an opinionated video, even though I am trying to stay as fair as possible. I don't think it is a bad thing to say that I think that Sonic Generations and you know what, fuck it, we'll throw Shadow Generations in there too, why not? I think Sonic X Shadow Generations, the whole package, I think is the greatest Sonic game of all time from an objective standpoint. I do. I think that Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations, might as well just call it Sonic and Shadow Generations, I think is the greatest Sonic game of all time. I do. I think it does everything right. I think classic Sonic's gameplay is fun. I think that the modern Sonic gameplay is fun. I think Shadow Generations got the story right eventually, and it got the modern version of what the boost formula is, which is more like a hybrid of adventure gameplay and boost gameplay. I like the custom BMG. I like the custom music. That shit is nice. I love the aesthetics. They chose some really fire-ass levels for both games. I like Shadow's character arc. You know, they're both the most complete polished Sonic games. They're both so polished. They're so polished. There's no bugs, there's no glitches, they just work, and they're so fucking fantastic. You know, the visuals, the wacky Doctor Strange stuff in Shadow Generations was something new for its time for the series. You know, Sonic X, yeah, you can say the time meter is a little disappointing and the story's pretty mid, but the sheer gameplay, like the boost formula, peaked in Sonic Generations, and then it peaked again in Shadow Generations. They're a great combo pack, and they're a great game in general, and I think they're the greatest Sonic game of all time. Matter of fact, here, I'll do this. There we go. I think Sonic X Shadow Generations is the greatest Sonic game of all time from an objective standpoint. I really do. I'll fight that shit. The only reason why Unleashed is higher is because I'm a little bit personally biased towards Unleashed more than I am Generations and Shadow Generations. Even though I can acknowledge the fact that Generations as a product is a much higher quality than Unleashed. Unleashed is inconsistent as fuck. So, yeah. Sonic 4. It was an improvement upon hold on. It was an improvement upon Sonic 4. It did a lot of things right. Matter of fact, no, I can't do that. Yeah, I can do that. Sonic 4 was an improvement upon Sonic the Episode 2. Episode 2 was an improvement upon Episode 1. It did everything that Episode 4 did. Episode 4. It did everything that Episode 1 did, but better. I can say that. It was an improvement, but it's still nowhere near the rest of the series. It's just not touching it. I couldn't even put it. No matter of fact, I couldn't even put it above. Yeah, I just don't care for Sonic 4. Sonic 4 depresses me. There's three Sonic game. 4. I just saw one. There's 4 Sonic games that I think genuinely depress me anytime I see them, and I just could not give a shit about. I couldn't give a shit about it, and I think Sonic 4 as a whole is up there. TSR is up there, and this game, yeah. Sonic Lost World, I don't give a shit about. I just don't. I don't care. It's just Mario. It's just wannabe Mario Galaxy. That's all it is. Why the fuck does Sonic have a run button? Why the fuck is he fighting the deadly six? These one note, boring ass, fucking Saturday morning ass, cartoon ass villains, bro. Get the fuck out of here. This shit lame as hell. Such a lame game. It doesn't do nothing innovative. It doesn't do anything to improve upon what Generations was doing. It turned the whole turned the whole ship around from greatness to shitness, you know? Sometimes I'm glad this game was a Wii U exclusive, because I could only imagine what kind of vitriol it would have got if it would have came out on PS4 and Xbox 360 and PS4 and Xbox One at the time. I just don't care for Lost World. Lost World just depresses me. Is there potential? Yeah, sure. Do I care? No, I don't. If you love Sonic Lost World, you're entitled to your opinion. If you like Heroes in 06, again, you're entitled to your opinion. This is definitely a personal tier list of mine, so things are going to look a little different. If you guys want an objective tier list, then I can do that. But this is a personal thing, and I tend to not really care for the more kiddie-ish Sonic games, the ones that don't really want to take themselves seriously, especially with the modern Sonic aesthetic. Like I don't mind 3 Knuckles and all the classic games because I expect that kind of shit from classic Sonic. It's an expectance. But because of the generation that I grew up in and the era of Sonic that I grew up in, there's a different level of expectation from modern Sonic as a concept from me. So because of that, when Lost World is trying somewhat to be a classic Sonic game but not fully committing, and it's trying to rip off Mario Galaxy and appease Mario fans, like I never got that mindset. Why did Sega, not even Sega, Sonic Team, I don't know why Sonic Team thought it was a good idea to appeal to Mario fans and not their fans. You know, they've clearly gotten the picture nowadays, but I don't get it. I didn't understand why they tried to appeal towards Mario fans. I don't give a shit about Lost World because it felt like a middle finger to the rest of the franchise. At least Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 is trying to be a Sonic game. At least Heroes is trying to be a Sonic game. At least Shadow the Hedgehog is trying to be a Shadow the Hedgehog game. You know what I mean? You know, it gets to a point. You know, it gets to a point where you realize, damn, this is really just a middle finger to anybody who was a fan of what had just came not even years before. So because of that simple fact, I don't care for Lost World. So Sonic Mania. I think Sonic Mania is a slightly less cooler version of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I think Sonic Mania does a lot of great things. I think it's better than Sonic 1 and CD, but I don't think it's better than 3. I think Sonic 3 is the cap for Mania. It really is, because I think Sonic 3 is a better game than Mania. And that's simply because Mania reused so much content. It reused so many assets. And because of that, with the game being more unoriginal than it is original, I cannot give it the credit that some people do. Was it a great game for its time? Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was a great game for what it was. It was a really great game. But, shit, I don't know. I don't think it's better than Sonic 3. I actually think Sonic 3 is a bigger game in general, if I'm not mistaken. So, great game. It did a lot of heavy lifting during a terrible era of Sonic. But it is just reused assets of the game, even though Studiopolis is pretty cool and Mirage Saloon are pretty cool. But would I choose to play Mania over 3 and Knuckles? No. I care for the story of Sonic 3 and Knuckles way more. I care for the aesthetics of Sonic 3 and Knuckles way more. I care about the characters within that game more. So because of that, like their arcs and like what they provide. So because of that, great game, but it doesn't beat 3 Knuckles. It doesn't. I don't think it beats 3 Knuckles. I just don't. Nope. Sonic Forces. It is. Let me see. Because Sonic Forces is a controversial. Let me think about this. So Sonic Forces is a very controversial game nowadays. I swear some people thought that this game. What am I talking about? Thought. People still think this game was like the second coming of Lucifer. It is insane to me how many people hate this game when it was simply just okay. It was just mid. It is the most mid Sonic game I think I've ever played in my fucking life. I remember, I'll tell you a story. The year that Sonic Forces came out, 2017, I literally beat this game. Then it was the first game I ever pre-ordered. This was the first video game I ever pre-ordered with my own money that I worked hard for. It was $40 at the time. I didn't think anything of it because I was young. And it was the first game I ever pre-ordered. I was so excited for Sonic Forces. I would watch the trailers over and over and over again. I thought Infinite's theme was the coolest shit I ever heard. I thought Infinite was cool. Like everything about Sonic Forces from an aesthetic standpoint was sticking out to me. And I beat the game the same night that I got it. And I realized, damn, this game was mid as fuck. And in between the periods of time of waiting on Frontiers to come out, I would always revisit Sonic Forces and ask myself, what went wrong? What went wrong? I think Sonic Forces was the game at its time, the one that I followed the development of the most. Like I know everything about the development behind Sonic Forces, and it was crazy. what happened to this game during development. The fact that it had no budget, the fact that Sonic Team was working on the Hedgehog Engine 2 at the time, the fact they were trying to push the game out at as quick as possible, the fact that when the game got revealed in 2016, that barely any of the game was actually made, the fact that it had 2 level designers that were brand new. There were so many things that went wrong with Sonic Forces, but I don't think it's a terrible game. I don't think it's a bad game. I really don't think it's a bad game. I think it's just severely mediocre. I think the story is just forgettable. It's just mid. I think Infinite is Potential the character. I think the soundtrack is just mid. The boost levels are fucking mid. I think the classic levels are trash. And I think the Avatar is okay. I actually think the Avatar is slightly better than Modern Sonic. I like the concept of the Avatar with the Wispins. So there was a lot of things. It's definitely missed potential of the game alongside 06, but I think it's a higher quality product than 06. So you can fight me about that. It's going right below Shadow of the Hedgehog. Yep, I can agree with that. I think it's right below. So I think it's right below Shadow of the Hedgehog because it's a better game. It's a better product overall, and it's actually a functioning game that anybody can play and sit down. I think it's better than Secret Rings and Black Knight. It's not as frustrating as Heroes. It's not as broken as 06. It's not as dull as Lost World. So, though some fans might convince you on the internet that Sonic Forces is actually the second coming of Lucifer and it killed your mother's dog's grandma's ex-boyfriend's sister-in-law, it's really not. It is the most mediocre, mid-ass, bland-ass Sonic game you'll ever play. But it's not bad. It's not a bad game at all, really. And fun fact, I should give Sonic Forces some credit. I'll give Sonic Forces some credit. When I went back and played the challenge mode in this game, there was actually some fun stuff there. There's actually some pretty fun stuff that you can find in the challenge mode in that game that actually had my ass sweating and doing some wacky stuff, like actually trying to speed run Sonic Forces, especially the Avatar levels and the classic levels. All the modern levels are piss easy though. So yeah, and it also butchered the boost formula. It did. It tried to fix what Lost World did, and it butchered the boost formula. It butchered it so hard. So. Anyways, Sonic Origins, that don't count. That's just a fucking like a whole. It's a collection. So Sonic Frontiers. This is the latest and greatest mainline Sonic game besides Shadow Generations that was original or somewhat original. It has the biggest impact so far. It's the highest selling 3D Sonic game of all time. You know, it did a lot for the franchise. It made me damn near a fan. No, I would say damn near. It did. It solidified my love for Sonic once again. I fell back in love with Sonic, you know, when I played Super Sonic's boss fight for the first time against Gigano. It was truly a special moment for me as a fan. I hold this game near and dear to my heart. You know, I 100%ed it, and I love the DLC. I love all the hype moments. The game is so fucking hype, bro. It's like pure modern Sonic the Hedgehog. It is like everything that I want from Sonic the Hedgehog, especially modern Sonic, is in Frontiers pretty much. Like it does the tone right. I love how serious it is. I love how it wants to take itself seriously, and it wants the audience to take it seriously. Kellen Quinn's vocals on the soundtrack are fucking amazing, even though I think some of the rest of the stuff ain't really all that, but the vocal themes are fucking hype. I've been listening to Undefeatable since it came out. Frontiers is a shit. Wyvern is epic. Like I said, the boss fights are so fucking cool. I like the potential of the combat system, though it was not perfect at all whatsoever. I have played better combat systems. I actually think the combat system in Unleashed is better than Frontiers, even though Frontiers' combat system fits the character more. I like the concept of open zones, and I think they can be polished in a future game, but they definitely were not perfect. I think cyberspace is fucking worthless, and I don't give a fuck about it at all whatsoever. I don't give a shit about cyberspace. It's just watered down versions of levels we already had in Adventure 1 and 2 and in Generations and Unleashed. And I don't know why they changed the controls in cyberspace. That made no sense to me. The controls in the open zone were just fine. Though, I do like the spin dash, however. I do like the freedom that Frontiers allows to explore levels with the spin dash and how busted it is to fly over everything. You know, I like the speed upgrades to actually bring Sonic's speed back up to a pretty brisk pace. Like, he can actually fucking scat through the island, say, like, he can get it. You know, the game is severely unpolished. The game, the game is unpolished as fuck. So I have a lot to say about Frontiers. I might even do a separate video on Frontiers. I plan on doing it in the future, like doing a proper review of the game, maybe before Frontiers 2 comes out or whenever I get another playthrough under my belt. Sonic Frontiers is a weird game. It is probably the most controversial game in the series because I have seen this game be skewed in both directions, where it's overhyped or it's overhated. And I think because of all that, I think it's good. I think it's A tier. I do. Would I play this game over everything below it? Yes, I would. I would. But do I think everything above it are higher quality products and I would play them over it? Yes, of course. I think Sonic Frontiers is A tier. I think it's a great game. You know, it sold very well. You cannot deny the success that Frontiers did. You know, I always say you can't argue with numbers, and you can't. Frontiers did numbers, man. Frontiers was a fucking success, you know. Now, I know I put Heroes in the bottom, and I'm kind of a hypocrite for that shit, but I hate Heroes. Fuck you. But Sonic Frontiers, though, I don't hate Sonic Frontiers. I enjoyed Frontiers a lot, man. It's a great game. It's really not that bad. Is it unpolished? Yeah. But it did something new for Sonic. Was it retreading a lot of old stuff? Sure. But it felt like the most new Sonic game since fucking Black Knight. Or not Black Knight, Colors. Because Generations was just reused assets. You know, Forces was reused assets. Sonic Frontiers was the first Sonic game in a long time that at least had massive original environments, even though they look like Windows XP backgrounds. You know, it tried new systems like the combat system, you know, and then bringing back boss fights and the tone that we all love and the type of music we all love. So it did a lot. And then the DLC improved upon that, but also showed a lot of the weaknesses. Like, Sonic Frontiers is such a weird game, man. It's a weird game, but like I said, this is a bit personal to me, so I like Frontiers. I do, even though I can accept the fact that it has a lot of issues. I'm very aware of those things. So, yeah. But Sonic Frontiers, it's a good game. I like it. It's great. So, Superstars... Superstars is a weird game because it's also one of those mid-ass, like, classic Sonic games. It didn't really do nothing crazy, but it also didn't do nothing innovative. It just kind of exists, and it's polished. I mean, it's fun. It's a good game. Yeah. I think it's B tier. It's just good. It's good. Yeah, it does its job. Yeah. Trip is fun. I like Trip. She's fun. She's like a hybrid of Knuckles. And God, can't even think right now. I'm talking so much. I like Trip because she can do what Knuckles does, but like quicker because she can like roll up the sides of walls and stuff, and she's immune to spikes. I like her character arc. It's very cute. I like the original environments. They're cool. Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. I think the soundtrack is very inconsistent though. It's very inconsistent. It goes from great shit to what the hell is what's his name doing with the synthesizer or that stupid snare. Jun Senoue, I don't know what he does with that fucking snare sometimes, but it feels like he's just going off with it, and it's just lame. So Superstars is a weird game, but it is a higher quality product, and it's much more consistent than the rest of these games below it, in my opinion. It does a lot of, at least it's original, you know, it does that, you know. So yeah, this tier list is definitely a bit skewed, obviously, but this is a personal thing. Like I said, I am biased against certain games, and I am biased towards other games, and I try to meet them where I can. Dream Team never played it. I don't own a single Apple product, nor do I care. If you want a quick review of the game, it's good. If I had to put it somewhere from what I've seen, it would be like right behind Superstars, maybe it's slightly above. I think that's where Dream Team would go if I had played it. And from what I've seen, I'd put it probably slightly above Superstars. I think it's okay. I think it's good. But overall, I don't think Sonic, as you can clearly see here, despite the D tier, every mainline Sonic game that there ever has been, it has at least been a passing grade, at least in my eyes as a fan. You know, and a lot of these are interchangeable. You could totally put Mania in S tier. I can see that. You know, you can put Sonic 3 and Knuckles in S tier. You know, I can see that too. You know what I mean? You can even put Adventure 2 in A, though I don't think it would ever touch S. There are a lot of these games that could reach higher levels for sure. So the misconception that's been around for a long time that Sonic was never good and that this franchise was never worth anything is just an outright lie. I think Sonic as a series as a whole has always been at least consistently good. No matter what, it has always been consistently good. Were there some fuck ups? Yeah, sure, of course. Every franchise has fuck ups. You know what I mean? But overall, again, the quality of Sonic is clear as day. All these games are good. You can play all of them. They're fucking wonderful. You know, they're iconic. You know, like staples of video games as a whole. So, and I've always hated the misconception that Sonic was a bad series. It's not. It's my favorite IP. It's my favorite brand of all time. It is. I fuck with Sonic a lot. It's not my favorite game series. I put Grand Theft Auto higher than Sonic simply because I have more personal bias towards Grand Theft Auto. But if I had to choose a brand, if I had to choose a franchise I like more, it would be Sonic, obviously, because Sonic is more than just a video game series. It's a brand. It's a massive multimedia like icon. So there's a lot of other things I can like about Sonic beyond video games, and because of that, I'm willing to accept the fact that, yeah, if I had to choose his games over Grand Theft Auto, I'd probably play Grand Theft Auto, honestly. So, but this is my tier list for the Sonic series. If you guys like this video and you want more of these tier lists, then definitely expect more of these. I'm willing to talk Sonic on the channel. I enjoy Sonic as a series. I don't do it as often as I would like to, and that's mainly because I've been caught up on so many other things that have been going on in the news. Obviously, you guys know that I talk about Titanfall and Grand Theft Auto a lot, especially Grand Theft Auto. The hype around Grand Theft Auto has been crazy this year, and I don't want to bring Grand Theft Auto up in a Sonic video, obviously, but we all know as Sonic fans that the brand has been kind of coasting along, you know, this 35th anniversary. It really hasn't been much going on, and we all know that the next mainline game will probably be announced this year, but it won't come out this year. It's going to be coming out next year, which is honestly a good thing, because if the next mainline game comes out and it's well polished and it's good and it comes out near or after the movie, then that's just great for the brand. I am willing to wait as long as it takes for a Sonic game to come out if it's polished and it's good. For example, Shadow Generations. If we can get the next mainline game to be the same quality as Shadow Generations, then I will be a happy camper, and I think most people will. Now don't get me wrong, though. If you're a casual viewer and you got this far in the video, don't get me wrong. The Sonic fan base is fucking wacky, okay? We can't agree on anything half the time. Though, I love it. I love it and hate it. I love the Sonic community. I love and hate you guys. But I think maybe this video will do well. I don't know. But this is my first foray into giving my opinions on the Sonic series out there, that I might get some views. I know I made a Shadow the Hedgehog video not too long ago, like a few months ago, but that's been like the only Sonic video on this entire channel. So this video might do well and it might not. I don't know. I might attract an entire audience of Sonic fans who are ready to rip my nuts off and crucify me. I don't know. But this is my personal opinion. This is my tier list. And like I said, if you guys like this video, then like, comment, and subscribe. I know I don't say that very much, and I don't, but apparently the YouTube algorithm likes it when you say it, or your audience likes it. So let this be the one and only time I say this, but like, comment, and subscribe. You know, I feel I don't feel the capacity to do that. I feel like that comes with human nature, to where if you like my content, you will subscribe anyways. You will like the video anyways. And, you know, I've never understood the concept of begging for people to subscribe or comment and like and shit. I don't get none of that shit, you know. I try to be as real and as plain Jane and as down to earth as possible with you guys, because I know what it's like to be lied to, or feel like you're being talked down to, or feel like that somebody's putting on a character and not being themselves. I don't like those kind of people. I don't. I think they're fake and full of shit. So, but anyways, though, this is my first tier list. Woohoo, awesome. And I critiqued the Sonic series. So, yeah. Anyways, though, that's all I had to yap about. See ya.